Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Reports. I'm getting an update from Kenorland Minerals, traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol KLD, on the OTCQX under the symbol KLDCF, as well as on the Frankfurt Exchange under the symbol 3WQ0. I am chatting with the president and CEO, Zach Flood. Big news out of Kenorland Minerals that came out earlier this week on January 16th. The company converted its 20% joint venture interest in the Frotet project in Quebec to a 4% net smelter royalty. The project is now being run or taken over by Sumitomo Metal Mining, which was the 80% joint venture interest here. And some of the highlights of this project is Kenorland Minerals staked this project back in 2017. So only less than 7 years ago, the company had undertaken a handful of drill programs over that period. The JV was entered into in 2018. So, Zach, take us through this deal, converting your 20% joint interest into a 4% net smelter royalty. It sure seems like Sumitomo liked what they were seeing through the drill programs over the last few years.
Definitely, yep. I mean, they are a mining company, and they wouldn't be advancing this as steadily as they've been unless they see the potential for this to become one of their operations. So the deal was perfect timing for us. It's starting to get very expensive there for looking forward into infill drilling and economic studies and all the other work you need to do to prepare something for development. I would say it is a problem for any junior to be able to finance these things. And we still retain a huge amount of upside on the project. I mean, it's an incredible deal, really. We don't have to spend another dime here. We have, exposure to 4% of the total value of any gold that comes out of the ground in the future, regardless of, profitability or margins or whatnot. As long as that mine is producing gold, we get 4% of whatever that is at the price of gold. So massive exposure to the gold price, any future production. Obviously, if Sumitomo decides to develop something here, that means it's going to be big. And that 4% royalty, even if it's bought down to 3.25%, is going to be worth multiples of where we're trading at today. So to me, Kenroland's now an obvious buy. And, I've been in the market in the last couple of days as well. And it's very exciting time for all of our shareholders.
This really is kind of a growing up of the company because, look, Kenorland Minerals is a prospect generator and exploration company. We've talked about the major companies that you have JV deals with, option agreements with, that are moving other assets forward. But this is the first time that you've converted one of those deals into a royalty. So I do have to ask, what do you do with this royalty? Are you going to monetize it, or are you simply going to keep it within the company to show value?
Yeah, we're definitely not looking to monetize this anytime soon. I think that there's going to be so much value that's going to be created as Sumitomo continues to advance the project. We're still early days on the project. By the end of the upcoming drill program in the first quarter this year, there'll be about 100,000 meters of drilling, right? These things require 500,000 meters of drilling to define a decent resource, up to millions of meters of drilling like down the road, right? So that kind of gives you an idea of where we're at in terms of the stage of the project. I am very confident in the quality of the deposit itself, and we've done preliminary met work. It all looks very good at this stage. The scale is very large, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And through that work, I think it'll become more apparent, what this could turn into, and that should translate into value creation through our market cap and share price. So it's a very simple investment thesis and value proposition now. It's, will Sumitomo build a mine here? If the answer is yes, then there's a lot of money to be made in Kenroland stock.
Oh, and then Kenorland, you can argue, is a royalty company as well, as long as you hold on to that royalty. And hey, we even saw the reaction in the market too after the last couple days that have been very tough on almost every resource stock, especially gold stocks. Kenorland was up large on the day that was announced. What about some of these buy down options for this royalty? I know Sumitomo can buy the royalty down to an uncapped 3.25% royalty. Take us through some of those stages.
Yeah, there's a 0.25% buy down for 3 million that can be exercised within 5 years, and there's an additional 0.5% buy down for $10 million cash payment, which can be exercised within 10 years. So that would put about $13 million back in the Kenroland's hands, and would result in us owning a 3.25% royalty instead of a 4% royalty. So even in that scenario, 3.25% is huge upside. We've put about $7 million into the project to date. So exercising those buybacks would actually kind of put us in the green from that standpoint. So we got, generated this at a net negative cash value or amount. Other than that, like the royalty is kind of free of any other, there's no other weird quirks in the deal there. It's pretty straightforward, no ROFR. We got great data rights too. So we'll still be able to disclose to the market things that are happening on the project, which is really important, and not a lot of people realize how important that is. But for us to be able to have our hands on the data, generate resource calculations ourselves, see exploration results, it helps us make more informed decisions as well as potential acquirers.
Okay, that was going to be my next question because Kenorland, as the company, will remain operator for at least 1 year to facilitate this transition of operatorship to Sumitomo. Sounds like you also have access to the data, so we will be able to get news on how that project is advancing simply out of you, Kenorland, as the company.
That's right. That is the idea going forward. And we are operator for another year, at least, at minimum. I think the idea is to transition operatorship to Sumitomo over that time period. But, we could be operator for longer if they need us to. We just want to make sure that the project remains on track, and we're happy to facilitate that in any way we can.
All right. Well, there's not much more to talk about in terms of this converting into a royalty, but hey, congratulations on that. I know that is a big stepping stone for the company. Let's talk about the other exploration going on your other assets. The most recent interview that we did at the beginning of this year highlighted what it was like to work with major companies, because you do work with so many major miners. I'll post a link to that interview so everyone can catch up on the companies that Kenorland is working with. But Zach, in terms of other exploration on the companies, I believe right around a dozen other projects, what's going on?
There's a lot going on, probably too much to discuss right here, but I will highlight a few things. Our Ontario portfolio is really growing. We staked a huge amount of ground in the Wabigoon sub-province. That's 100% owned now. We also have the South Uchi project in the Red Lake district of Ontario, which is 100% owned as well. And we've been advancing that towards hopefully drill stage in the coming future. But, these projects are relatively grassroots, but we're applying the same exploration strategy and methodologies that led us to the Frotet, the discovery at Frotet, as well as a discovery we made with Newmont last year in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. So, I think we're just trying to repeat this success. We've got a good formula here. We've got an amazing team. We've also staked a huge amount of ground up in northern Quebec. All of this we're going to be, advancing over the next year or so. But we do have a lot of soul-funded exploration happening, particularly in Ontario this coming summer. So keep an eye out for that. That's, to me, some of the most exciting work we're doing in the portfolio.
I guess before I get you out of here, then, one other thing that I do like to highlight for all companies is your cash position to continue to build up your project portfolio, move forward all your exploration. Where does the company stand in terms of cash?
So we've got $23 million in the treasury right now. Our sole funded exploration budget this year is around $5 million. We've got about another $20 million that's coming in from partners that will be operating. So call it $25 million spread across the portfolio. Through that, we generate revenue through management fees. There's some cash payments involved in some of these deals too, and refundable tax credits, etc. So when you factor all this in, including our G&A, we're projecting to end 2024 with around $17 million in the bank. So we're in a very healthy position. We've got a lot of flexibility, and this is a part of the reason for advancing some of these projects on a 100% basis, because I know people would love if we made a big discovery on a 100% owned project.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the balance that you have, right? Working with some of the majors to advance some of the JV and option projects, as well as still exploring the 100% projects. But hey, you still have this royalty then within the company. Zach, thank you very much for your time today. I know how busy you've been. If anybody has any follow up questions, please email me. I'll get Zach to address those, and I will follow up as we get some more exploration focused news. Zach, thank you again for your time.
Thank you, sir.